aspect of flogging, right? What is all of this about? Flogging and all of that and all of that. How do you begin to manage it? How do you begin to manage it? Okay, so and I asked the question, apart from your children being obligated to you, remember we're talking about obligation. Obligation is my father, I just need to go and see him. And it's not the same as I am really missing my mom. I am really missing my mom, and I need to go tell my mom that this is what it is, right? Or I need to go and spend time with my mom. They are not the same thing. So obligation is I am your parent, I just have to, okay? But the thing that you must understand, all right, for those of us on YouTube, we have had to go live again on YouTube. Please, we share the link, share it with you. All right. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay. So, so when you look at all of that, you begin to now question whatever it is that you're doing right now. Thank you again and again for being patient, everybody. It's been an interesting day. Now, you can't just wing it or you leave it to chance. To hit the goal, it actually requires you to become highly curious. Somebody said friendship and play. I like that point. Friendship and play. The way I communicate with my children make them feel comfortable with me. Awesome. Communication. Now, you want to understand that every child wants to be loved in a unique way. And this is what actually leads to the message of, oh, I'm so loved. So, but it's not always that simple. Parents, we're not giving a guide, all right? Nobody told us. I usually like to say that nobody told us that this will happen, all right? So, but you need to actually get to a point that you're curious enough to want to know. You're curious enough to want to transform your relationship, with your child. There are very simple processes. Can I parent without flogging my child and still have a well-behaved child? Make them feel free and comfortable around you and create connection with them. Thank you. Is it possible? My answer is yes. I will tell you why. People have done it successfully over and again. That is one. My mom is here watching, and she's a vivid example. Number two, it's actually very, very, very extremely possible because you are dealing with a human being that can hear you and that can be loved. Why do parents hit their children in the first place? Let's even go back to that end. Maybe that will help us. All right. Your comment in the comment section will help me know that I'm still here. My network is a bit up and down. Okay. So please, that would also really help us. Why do parents hit their child? Number one reason why parents hit their child is childhood trauma and experiences. I'm going to dive in a bit into childhood trauma and experiences. A rocky childhood, a violent assault that you experienced in your past can actually affect you today on your parenting journey. And beyond just affecting you, it can also affect your health. Now, there are traumatic events that would have happened in your upbringing that can bring them into the state today, right? Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel. How do you understand what trauma is? Traumatic events encompasses anything from sexual assault to childhood abuse to, cancer diagnosis, all right? And childhood abuse is particularly likely to affect your adult life because it occurs at the time when your brain is vulnerable. All right? When your brain is vulnerable. And it often occurs at the hands of people who are supposed to be your protectors. That is why childhood experience, trauma is actually much more, hits you much more. Because the people who are supposed to protect you are the people who are abusing you, it makes it even more traumatic. So by abuse, we often mean things that are a lot milder than, things people typically think that is an abuse. Hitting a child, flogging. All this, I like the way we say it. Oh, but we turned out okay. Oh, they beat us and all of that. We do not even understand how much that has been able to impact in our life and how much that has been able to also reduce our health. The other day I was reading statistics of how much people, right? Reading statistics of how much people are able to live, right? Different countries and all of that. And I see a lot of downward spiral in our own generations. What has happened? Childhood trauma can impact on your physical, health. Now, the child's perspective of an event is as important as what actually happened. It doesn't matter. Now, you can say, hey, this is what happened. It doesn't matter what happened. I've seen cases where people have accused their parents of things that they did. The parents can't remember that these were the things that they did. So the perception, the child's experience, I was explaining to a, and I said your experience will determine a lot. So the child's experience is as important. Even though we want to look at it from another point of view and say, no, all of these, the child can't remember, the child doesn't know. Unfortunately for us, the child actually do know what it is that they should look out for. Now, the child may have seen something as life-threatening. No, while a child's life may not actually be in danger, do you know that you can do something to a child? The child's life is obviously not in danger, but the child can view that thing as life-threatening. In fact, a psychiatric professor, psychiatric says that it is life-threatening at that point, irrespective of what you view it as. So people who experience traumatic events, will, of course, develop sometimes post-traumatic stress disorder and all of that. All right, and all the things that come with it. Now, what are these exposure and risks that we are talking about? Your risks for mental health and physical health problem from past trauma actually goes up with the number of these events that we have experienced. In one of our sessions, we've actually shared on how you can know your adverse childhood experiences, the level at which your adverse childhood experiences are. If sexual abuse. So if you have your ACEs, which is called the adverse childhood experiences, and if you have your ACEs, called, and you have the more, science will say, experts will say that if you have 3 or more, then you need to seek help. The more it is, the more you know that you are vulnerable to this exposure and risk. In fact, cancer has been linked to actually people who have childhood traumatic exposure and cancer. There have been a link to that, all of that terminal diseases, okay? I'm not going to bore you with all of that. Then you have physical abuse. For those of us who have not taken that test, ask for our free book on trauma. We have that test for free. You'll be able to take it and understand where you are so that you're not traumatizing your child with your own trauma. Because a lot of the times, why we cannot deal with all of that is because we are dealing with our own trauma. All right? Hi, Maureen. Thank you so much. Now, in addition to all of these incidences and all of that, there could be more. Now, the medical conditions resulting from trauma, most of the research related to trauma and chronic diseases risk has focused on childhood trauma. Now, childhood trauma, early childhood trauma is a risk factor for almost everything. Almost everything. From depression, from even stroke. Childhood trauma has been linked with stroke. And all the medical issues all the medical issues that you can actually have, right? There has been heart attack, stroke, cancer, obesity has been linked to childhood trauma. This effect have 2 factors. Now I'm going to divide it into 2. I'm diving into a bit about childhood trauma because it's important to our subject of the day. Now we have behavioral changes that result from trauma. People who are suffering from traumatic memories may try to escape them by participating in risky behaviors. Look at all the people who are drunks, as in who drink a lot, who smoke, who use drugs, or who overeat for comfort. Obesity. It is usually out of these changes that occur with trauma. So those can also all be used as coping mechanism. They are called coping mechanism. It's a way of dealing with that emotional deregulation. All right, is a dysfunction. Your emotional regulation is not functioning normally. So that's why that deregulation is there. And then it occurs when someone has been traumatized. This habit in turn is actually what now leads to the health problems. Now, can you see the spiral downward effect? Because the behavioral changes resulting from trauma is what actually exposes you much more than other people who are not, traumatized. Now you have physical effect related to trauma. Now the problem goes beyond unhealthy habits. Experts even believe that there is actually a direct biological effect that occurs when your body undergoes extreme stress. So when you experience something anxiety provoking, maybe your stress response deactivates. So your body produces more adrenaline, your heart races, your body primes itself to react, and then someone has experienced trauma that may be stronger, has a stronger surge for that adrenaline, and they experience them more often than someone who has not in their history. It causes wear and tear of the body, just like it would in the car when the engine is constantly revving and racing. So stress response has also been demonstrated in people who have experienced discrimination throughout their lives. All right, it ages your system faster. So the moment you're having more stress response, which happens to a lot of people that have been traumatized, then of course that now happens. Now the problem with all of this that I'm sharing is that people who have experienced trauma may also struggle with getting help. That's one of the most common outcomes of trauma. It's called avoidance. You avoid anywhere anybody says to you, you need help. It makes sense if you experience something traumatic. You want to avoid, thinking about it, going to places, and then reminding you of it. But unfortunately, these things are the things that actually, put you in that space where you now begin to struggle. That's why we have a problem with seeking help in our climate. That's one of the major challenges that we have. And it's actually really a big deal because we're not, we're not in a place anymore where we can actually seek help. It's not our fault. It's something we need to get conscious of. That's it about childhood trauma and experiences. Number two, lack of knowledge is one of the reasons why we also hit children. Many of the times it's because you don't know what to do. That's why you're hitting a child. If you know what to do, you won't hit a child. I keep saying it. A lot of people have said, oh no, all these, you just need to hit a child. When a child is misbehaving, there's always something to do. No. You don't need to. You just decided to because you have made a decision not to learn. They're not the same. So if you've made a decision not to learn, it is a choice. You made a choice. And that choice you made says, this is the best way because that's what I know. Now, remember that your brain is naturally going to just give you what it is that you know. All right? Oh, wow. It's naturally going to give you what it is that you know. Okay? Sorry about that. What it is that you know. So the brain is constantly going to just be talking about what you know, and will not give you what it is that you don't know. So it's all about what you know. And what you already know is that, when you must discipline a child, then you need to hit that child. That's what you already know. So sorry, I'm a bit distracted today. That's what it is that you already know. Okay? All right? So the network challenge has done a lot of back and forth for us. But we're going to stay, we're on track. So lack of knowledge is one of the reasons why you will keep hitting a child. Number three, lack of emotional control. Because you can't control yourself. It's not because you don't know all of this. Sometimes you actually know, and then you're looking at yourself. You know what to do, but you can't do it because you lack emotions control. Now, emotions control is a skill. Hi, Joy. Emotions control is a skill. It's not an assumption. A lot of people just assume it. And what's still, we just decide we just need to pray about it. And the moment you just pray about it, and then you do nothing and everything just falls. Prayer is effective, listen to me. Prayer is effective, but as much as that, we have work to do on this journey, and you must commit to it. The last one is lack of parental skills. Many of the times we just wake up, they just tell us, have children, have children. Nobody tells us what it entails. Or were you told? They just told us that, you know what? All you need to do is just become a parent. All you need to do is just become a parent. And the very moment that you become a parent, then you will be happy. No, I was sharing in my podcast, and I said recently, do you really get happy? Do you really get happy when you have a child? very dicey, very dicey conversation, right? People tell you, oh, once you have a child, you just become happy and all of that. Do you really become happy? That's a question for another day. All right, I'm putting a work together on that subject. Okay, and offline. Oh well, okay. I don't know why this is offline. Oh, this took today. Come on, check. Oh, wow. All right, so that's it. I hit my child and now feel guilty. Why do I hit my child and now feel guilty? Now, that is one of the biggest, challenges that we have. Why do I hit my child and now? So if we all say that, oh, hitting my child is, it's okay to hit a child, it's okay to do this and all of that, then why do we feel guilty? Or is it only me? Have you ever hit a child and you feel guilty? Let me see your comment in the comment section. Have you ever hit a child and you feel guilty? Let me see you. Let me see you. Let me see you. Right? Have you ever hit your child before, yelled, hit, and you're feeling guilty as you're doing it? All right? Let me see you in the comment section. Let me see you in the comment section. Always. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that sincerity. Mamalola says always. Right? Who else? Yes, even my pets. Oh, wow. That's a good one. Who else? Tessie said yes. Jennifer says yes, always. Awesome. The reason why you feel guilty when you hit your child is because, number one, you are confused. You are confused. That's why you feel guilty. Because if you really know that, okay, I've hit my child and this hitting that I've hit my child is really working, why do you now feel guilty? Okay? Why do you then feel guilty? It's because you know somewhere in your mind, somewhere right in your mind, you understand that this isn't working. Because if it's working, then you won't feel guilty. If it's going to give your child that appropriate system that you want to create, then you won't feel guilty. So number one reason why you feel guilty is because you know that hitting your child does not work. That's why. That's number one reason. You know that hitting your child does not work. Even when you yell, sometimes you feel yelling, you feel screaming, you don't come, what is wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. And when you finish, you just stay in your corner, you're feeling guilty about it. Simply put, it's simply because you know that this particular thing that you're doing isn't working. Now, you need to begin to ask yourself questions. You need to begin to ask yourself questions. If I'm feeling guilty because this thing isn't working, what exactly is the issue? Another reason why you feel guilty Another reason why you feel guilty is because oh, thank you, Chukwudi, I can see people watching. Another people why you feel guilty is also because it relieves what it is that you felt as a child. For those of you who were hit as children, who were spanked as children, or who were yelled at, almost all of us were yelled at, and all of that. When you do it, it relieves something in your childhood. And it brings it to bear, and you're a bit distraught. That's the word. You're a bit distraught. And, all the guilt starts rushing back. You remember things like, I knew I said I was not going to hit my child. Then why am I hitting? All right? Things like, I thought I could do this. And the moment you get to that point where you're having conversations like this in your head, just note that it's not your fault. Parenting characteristics are very, very, very reflective. Even the things that you don't want to do, whenever that happens, it takes you back memory lane and you're like, I didn't want to do this. Why am I still doing it? Why am I still doing it? And that is what now comes up. That's the second one. That's the second reason why you feel guilty when you hit a child. Number 3, another reason why you feel guilty when you hit a child is simple, because it shows that you don't know what to do. Have you ever finished beating a child and you are at the point where you're just feeling, I know that this doesn't work, and then you're angry that you do not know what else to do? Many parents who hit children do that because they don't know what else to do. Trust me. If you know what else to do, you will not hit anybody at all. So the moment you recognize that there is what to do, the moment I get frustrated in my communication with my children, I realize that I have lost what to do. I start to seek solution. And what to do is not constant. What to do is not constant. What to do can vary. There are times where you have seen yourself. You actually didn't know, you knew what to do on an issue last year, but all of a sudden, your child, you no longer know what to do with them. Do you know why? Because your child is growing and parenting changes as your child grows. Which is why when it comes to knowledge and parenting, you cannot sit somewhere and just tell yourself, you know what? I know it all. So right now, I feel nothing and I don't need nothing, so I don't need to learn nothing. The moment you get to that point, then you are going to struggle again and again. I need you to understand that parents who actually lack what to do are the ones who are frustrated. Who are frustrated with the child. Check it. You only hit your child when frustration sets in. When you are in a calm, cool place, you will not hit a child. So what to do in parenting is never constant. It varies. Parenting changes as your children grow, and you must be able to learn what else must I use to actually be able to do this better. So if you had a toddler that you didn't beat, and all of a sudden you find out that your preschooler, you need to now beat your preschooler to understand what you're doing. There's something wrong. It means that you lack knowledge. If you have a preschooler that you didn't have to hit, and your child now becomes a preteen that you have to hit, there's a problem. People tell me things like, oh, my child has become a teenager. Since they became teenagers, I've been shouting. You lack knowledge. It is another stage of your parenting. That is why you are struggling. Stop saying you know what to do. You know it all. You don't. Because as the children are changing, so are the skills that you require should change. If it doesn't, then you will struggle. How do I stop? How do I stop all of this? Where do I start from? What exactly do I need to do to begin my journey? Now, one of the things that I would like us to note is that when it comes to parenting, there are things that are fundamental. There are things that are fundamental, and those fundamental things will include what you do with you. Very, very important. What you do with you. Okay? What you do with you. You know, a lot of the times, sorry. Okay. A lot of the times I've heard many people say that, oh, it's not me. Oh, it's the child. The child is always this. The child is always that. It's the child that is causing it and all of that. Unfortunately, what we have refused to agree is that we also should be growing on the journey. When it comes to parenting, your success is in your growth with your child. So as your child is growing, you are growing. There are things that I would react to some 10 years ago that I would not react to. I will not react to anymore because I have also grown and I've also learned. So you need to understand the place of growth. All right? You need to understand what's wrong with our connection on Facebook. You need to understand the place of growth. And until you understand the place of growth, you're going to continue to struggle on all of this. Now, what do? The first thing that I will recommend for you to do on how to work on this issue is heal from your trauma. One of the things that I have told the parents in the inner circle is that trauma is real. It will make a mess of your journey. Show banker. You will not even know that your journey is being messed up. But you will see your journey. You're doing something. You're trying. You're thriving. Yet, your journey is being messed up by the minute. Why do you think that happens? It's simple. It's because trauma is something that you must deal with. If you must parent effectively, you must heal from your trauma. One of the things that we've been able to do in the academy is to get you resources that can help you. Our Healing from Childhood Trauma class, this is the last call, and it starts on Thursday, Friday. Start from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you don't heal, the struggle just goes on and on and on and on, and that's it. So you need to work on that part of your journey. That's the first thing. Number two, you need to get knowledge on what to do. You can't assume it. You can't chance it. You can't get it by the tips and the hacks that you hang around for. You need to tell yourself that I am committed to this process and I want to see it finished to the end. So you need to find out exactly to this process and I want to see it finished to the end. So you need to find out exactly what it is that you are doing, how it is that you're doing it, and how it is that you want to put it together. Your child should feel like they can still come to you even when they've done something wrong. Very important. Learn emotions control. There are two things that I tell the parents in our academy in the year. We run an annual accountability group, academy, inner circle system for parents. And one of the things that I have continually told the parents in that system is, if you do not get access, if you do not do any other thing for your journey, do an emotional intelligence class, do a healing session on childhood trauma. These two are a big aspect of how things actually run. They are internal, but they are the most. They are the things that actually they are the real deal. They are actually the real deal, right? You need to actually be able to deal with it. The next thing that you want to do is that you need to join an accountability system. Healing is not a one-off. Let me say that again. Healing can never be a one-off. Healing is actually something that you need to do and be followed up on. One of the reasons why we run the inner circle system is for accountability purposes. We've had parents who have been there 2 years and counting, and they are going there, going on and on, and their parenting system is obviously different. There's no two ways about it. If I'm speaking to the parents in the inner circle, there are things that I tell them that I can't say publicly. People will not understand it. But if I'm able to actually say these things to them because they've been through a path of knowledge, then they are able to actually grab it. Find a system, an accountability system for your parenting journey. Stop doing this alone. Not asking for help is a problem, is a sign that you are actually suffering from childhood trauma. Your ability to get to a point where you say, I need to be helped, it takes a lot. You need to heal from that childhood trauma and begin to now parent your children from a point of wholesomeness. If you want to do the test, you'll find our store. Augustine, if you share a link to our store, you'll find it is a free book. It's called Healing from Childhood Trauma book, and you'll find it and you'll be able to access it and take that ACE test. But if you want to join our Healing from Childhood Trauma course, all you need to do is actually to reach out to us. If you're on YouTube, the video before this one actually has the details, all of the details of the class. And if you're on Facebook, all you need to do is just put course, and then you will see details of that course. So I was saying, join a community that can help you. Join an accountability system, right? Unfortunately, in TIP, we run it annually, but what you can do is to book a slot for 2022, which a lot of parents have done as we speak. A slot, our 2021 slots we have almost 700 parents in that system. We are not almost 1,000 parents, so we're not. It's not open, registration closed, because there's a lot of things that we do in that system, a whole lot. So we don't just, take from anywhere. No, we grow you through a process. It's that process that I'm asking you to commit to. All right. So if you want to be part of it in 2022, you can reach out to us, and then we will give you the details of how to join that system, the Inner Circle program for 2022. Please note, we have almost 50% bookings of that class in 2022. You want to actually take action and book your slot. I cannot guarantee slots by October when registration flags off. Registration is going to flag off in October, but if you have booked a slot, it means that you have a slot. Nobody's going to take it away from you. But by October, we'll open it up for registration. If there are no slots available, then we're not going to open it at all. So we're just going to induct the people that we have and then run with it. Okay? How do I get results without having to hit my child? Is it possible to get all of these results? I tell you something. I have not come to this session today to tell you, if you beat your child, you're a bad parent, and and all of that, No, that's not what we're talking about here. Okay? What we're talking about is the process of being able to do things better. If you're still on that place where you think that beating a child is your solution, then you are not, in the place where you should have been. You need to actually, Augustine has shared the link to the free trauma book. You can get it after the class. You need to actually get to a point where you're telling yourself, I want to learn to become better. Let's not normalize what is not okay. Let's not normalize it. What we have done over the years is just to say, because they did it to us, so it's okay if we do it to our children. No, it is not okay. It is not okay. You can actually raise a wholesome your child and jump up and down. I've said it in a live broadcast over and again. I don't have to hit my children. They do all of the things that you can think of, even much more than their age. Yesterday, by the time we got home, we saw that they made dinner, they put things together, and even offered us massage and pedicure. My kids are 11. The twins are 11. My point is, you can do this if your goal is to build a relationship with your child. Then you will want to take the pain of going through all of these things that I'm sharing. You want to take the pain of learning to do things better. You want to take the pain of committing to a process. How do you get results? Communication. Parents who do not know how to communicate result to hitting their children. It's natural. Watch husband and wife who fight. It's communication problem. I've said it over and again. Now, my husband and I have taken communication classes for years. Now, we've been married for 12 years. I've taken communication classes because we understand that without being able to communicate appropriately, then we're going to continue. We're going to fight. So when people say, oh, in your marriage, you must fight. You must fight. It's the same mentality. We have normalized it. It is not true. Stop peddling it. You're fighting because you do not know what to do. The same thing with your child. Oh, if you have a child, you must beat the child. Oh, you must. Nobody will ever tell me that they've never beaten their children. My mom never had to. It is possible not to. That's my point. So you need to understand that these things are doable. These things are doable. What you need to do is to acquire knowledge. If you can step back a bit and leave the argument of, oh, they did it to us, we must do it to our children. It's not tenable. It's not tenable anymore. You need to learn how to do these things better. If you do not know how to say the right words, you will fight. It's as simple as that. Whether be it your child, be it your spouse, be it anybody. Fighting with your child doesn't even mean physical fight. You see all that scream you're screaming every day, all that cane you're wielding every day is fight. You're fighting. You can have a fight-free parenting. You can have a fight-free parenting in your life. You can parent with absolute, absolute calm. Don't normalize it. When people tell you that, oh, all these things that I'm telling you, it's normal. It is not true. It's not normal. It's not normal that you're fighting in your home with your husband. You're always fighting, you're always arguing. No, it is not normal. Don't normalize it. It's abnormal. And what is making it abnormal is simply because you guys have communication problems. How do you begin to deal with communication issues? You need to even begin to understand where you're coming from. Heal from your childhood experiences. Where are you coming from? What happened to me as a child? That's one of the reasons why we run that class, Healing from Childhood Trauma. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons we actually run that session. That session actually opens your eyes to why you will find out why you fight. There are issues that you're fighting, you're wondering where it's coming from. You don't even know you are the problem. You're constantly fighting your child without even knowing that you are the problem. But for every time, when you come into consultation, in our consultation room, like we have, you say things like, these children will never listen. I have tried everything that I can do. No, you are the problem many of the times. It is because we are struggling with how to pass on our message. Even the Bible says that the right words are forcible. So if the right word are forcible, what does it mean? It means that when you speak the right word, then you will get the result that is required. When you do not speak the right word, you will struggle with that conversation. The question you need to ask yourself today is, am I even speaking the right words? Am I even communicating with my child? I'm saying my child is misbehaving, is doing. Am I really communicating? Number 2, structured parenting. The 2 most important things that you must take into consideration on your journey as a parent is nurture and structure. Nurture and structure. Any parenting void of structure, it is headed for